Excellent. The reason I'm really in tune with this is I'm big on the founding fathers. I'm big on what they accomplished and what they presented to us, or at least provided us, through the cost of their blood and their efforts.
Absolutely.
And what bothered me was many of the people in the viewing audience, they may not have this premise, but it's one I carry with me, and that is that, if someone says they own my labor, whether it's a part of my labor or all of my labor, at that point, I'm just a slave.
You got it.
And slaves actually had it better because slaves were usually provided housing and food. In my case, I've got to pay for my housing, my food, let alone other taxes, and they want a piece of my labor. And to me, I don't know about the other people in the audience, hopefully they're going to wake up and realize that if you're willing to give up part of your labor, whatever made the people believe that they were subservient to the thing that they had created. But back to you for a second. This is, as you were speaking, what really struck me was not just the courage and stuff, but your wife's courage also. 12 years ago, when you decided, to rationalize, and after all the studying and understanding what position you'd be putting yourselves in, both of you, and stuff, she must be a pretty good gal.
My wife's salt of the earth. She's a real lady. Soft-spoken. She's always had a lilting laugh, and when she laughs, people around her laugh. You show her on the phone, she always gets people to laugh, and she's got a twinkle in her eyes, and a twinkle in her voice. They pretty well knocked that out of her this time, though. However, you got to understand that courage is not with someone like me. I'm trained to move forward and go into the face of adversity, and I can do that. And it's a man's job. This whole thing is a man's thing to do. We're here to take care of the women and children. We're here to take care of our nation and the law of the land. But my wife showed real courage. Real heroes. Someone who's courageous is someone who is absolutely terrified, but still in the face of that adversity and fear, they still move forward into it because they know it's the right thing to do, and that's what she did.
And they're making it better for the people behind them besides.
Yeah.
Because, and somebody's got to, when I say someone's got to, it's funny, history, all through history, very few people are in the book. In the history book.
I know.
It's very, very, very few, because there are, whether you want to call it heroes, or there are just very few people that will disturb the water, will wake other people up. Paul Revere, there was only one of them. You know what I mean? Only one, I'll go riding or whatever. Anyway.
It only takes one to move. Any one of us. Here I sit. I just simply said no. My wife agreed, and we said, now there's two of us. We said no. Then you said no. And the cameraman said no. Young lady here said no. Okay, we're growing every day. And I'll tell you right now, there are some tens of millions of us right now in this country saying no. Mm-hmm. And I'm fearful for the other side, thinking that this time it's going to be as usual, because it isn't. Because what America has been waiting for, and the world has been waiting for, is one spark of courage that will absolutely, with everything at stake, go into the face of adversity. My wife and I decided to do that. Not because we're courageous. I'm scared to death. Good Lord. You think I can go against the United States Army? With the firepower they've got, and this gas that they use to make you vomit, and explosive stuff, and flashbangs. Yeah,
the
exactly.
idea of using the American Army against American citizens. It's very few, I don't know if my audience and stuff realizes and stuff, but when Waco happened, I said, hey, where do you get these tanks, these helicopters, and all that stuff? And it finds out the guy who was the general at Fort Hood, he ran for president later on. Leslie Clark, as a Democrat. And was, once again, here we are absorbing national media saying that this guy is a valid candidate. He's willing to use the army against the citizens.
You've got to remember one thing, ladies and gentlemen. There's one group of people that has to become a household word.
Go ahead.
In the world. And that is Illuminati. I-L-L-U-M-N-I-T-I. M-A-N-I-T-I. Illuminati. I-N. I forgot how to spell it. Illumination. Illuminati. Okay? Illuminati is the nucleus organization globally that vies for world domination. Bilderberg Organization, Council on Foreign Relations, Trilateral Commission, Freemasons.
Over,
yeah. They're all working. They have many, many names, many, right to the Vatican, many, many names, right, and many, many faces, and they're all around us. But we outnumber them huge. Now this is almost 16 years now of research into this stuff. I'm not speaking in my opinion. I'm speaking of fact. Everything that I'm saying right now on this camera here in front of you right now, I have absolute hard evidence in hand to prove every single thing that I say. We have an enemy in this country and in this world who believes in their heart of hearts, in their insanity, and they are insane people. They are absolutely ruthless people who have no love for anything except themselves and their whatever they do. They will kill you for what they want. They will destroy the very fabric of a society for what they want, and they're doing it. And our present president, as our past one was, and his father, George Bush's father before him, and Clinton, and they were all trained to do the same thing. You couldn't be a president, or you couldn't be a senator in a state senator or above anymore in this country unless you are a member of that organization known as the Illuminati. The total voting program is a scam, sham.
It's a shame. It's been exposed enough times, and yet the people still don't catch it.
Because most people, look, here's the other part of this philosophy training they don't get, and they didn't get. You've got 4 steps to go through. The first step is denial.
Oh, yeah. I face that a lot.
People do denial because the next step is fear. If they start to believe the stuff that we're talking about right now, you're crazy, our government, it's on the news, it's got to be the truth. They wouldn't put anything, they wouldn't lie on the news media and stuff like that. So they stay in denial. Because if they start to believe what we're telling them, what we're showing them for true, and they start to read it themselves, then they're going to go into fear. And once they go into fear, fear is a mind killer. Mm-hmm. You can't think, you can't function when you're afraid. My wife was afraid like that so badly she went back to the courthouse to have them stop it, and they did exactly as we said they were going to do. They totally put her in jail, the whole bit, and then found her guilty of all charges. But so you have denial, fear, but what comes after fear is if you eat your fear, bury it, force your way through it, you get angry. Once you get angry, anger is like laughter. It's an upper. Fear and denial are downers. Anger is an uplift. Okay? How you doing, guys? What's going on? You see, it's both the same. It's very easy to come across from laughter to anger. Mm-hmm. Very hard to come from fear, which is a downer, up into laughter or anger, because you're feeling like really lousy. You're feeling so lousy, you can get angry. It's probably easier to get to anger from fear, but it's very hard to do. I am not in anger anymore. I've gone through the denial out of the 70s, into my fear, into the 80s, into the 90s, and then I got very angry at Waco when that happened, and I overcame the anger because anger doesn't serve any purpose. Now we're into resolve. And that is the 4th place, and that's where everybody needs to be, is in resolve. With resolve, there is no fear. Apprehension, perhaps, but no fear. And with resolve is, we just simply say, excuse me, do whatever you wish to do, but don't hurt anybody else, or you will be held accountable. You hurt me, and you will absolutely guaranteed be held accountable, because the law dictates to me exactly what I'm supposed to do if you attempt to hurt me. People say, well, you can't talk violent. That's not right. People are such fools. They have lost their way. They're out in the wilderness. They've lost the Father.
I think of them as being misled.
Well, no.
They got dragged out in the wilderness.
I was misled. Many people were misled. But did they stay out in the wilderness? Did they go hide because of denial, because they're afraid? No, many people came out of the wilderness. They said, enough is enough. Let's get to the truth. They get angry. And you see them down there with picket signs. And you see them writing letters in and calling in these talk shows. Oh, you're crazy, the people, the cowards down here. See, the cowards and tyrants hate people who get into the anger and resolve, because we're truly free people. What's the worst thing you could do to people like us? It isn't kill us.
Right.
You could put us in jail maybe, but we're not going to allow that. So worst thing is you can try to make us slaves, I guess, but that's not going to happen either.